Hi everyone, it's Shams at Mascara, and today I'm going to be showing you how to paint your nails. This has been a long-awaited one, guys. So I'm going to share some tips and tricks on how I can make it easier for you to paint your nails and leave you with a flawless manicure. Let's get started. Hold on, I just need to blow my nose. So as is with any good manicure, it starts with a good preparation procedure. And if you want to know how to prep nails like a professional, we have a video set up just for you. So just click on the link and we will take you directly to all the prep steps you need for a flawless manicure. So remember guys, prep steps first. So for today's video, I'm going to be painting using the Maskscara Gel-iT range. Now remember, the painting techniques here can be used for any of our formulas. The color I have chosen is Heartthrob. And let me just tell you, this has now become my favorite red. It's giving. It's giving. What can I say it's giving? I wanted to use Gen Z terms, but that didn't work out for me. But there's a reason I'm using the Gel-iT range today. Firstly, it's a great range for all our home users, so it's kind of forgiving and it is the safer option, especially if you touch your skin here and there, which is something we want to avoid, but it's good for a beginner. And then the other reason is I simply love Heartthrob. It is seriously one of my new favorite reds in the mascara range. So let's begin. We're going to start with our base coat, guys, and remember, we're going to work in thin layers. This is the rule for all gel polishes. Always try to keep your layers thin and you will get the best cure. Okay, so we're going to start by using our base coat, and what you're going to do is you want to remove excess product from the bristles of your brush. So you want to clean the one side of your brush. So you are going to have polish on the one side and almost nothing on the other side. This is just going to help you so that you don't have excess bulk on the brush, and that can be a problem because if there's too much product on the brush, it's going to flood the cuticles and run into the side walls, and these are all the things we want to avoid for today. So once I have my base coat on my brush, I'm going to start around the cuticle area, and my method may seem a little unconventional, but this is the best method, especially if you're painting your own nails. So we're going to start by applying our brush in the center of the nail, just below the cuticle, and we're going to almost bounce towards that cuticle area. But now I want you to work slowly and not, you know, if you're going to rush, you're going to touch the skin. So you want to work as slowly as possible. And if you feel you have too much product on your brush, this is the point where you can just brush off some of that excess. And we are going to work from the one side to the other side. So trying to avoid touching the skin. Okay, so I'm going from one side to the other side, using a slow, controlled movement. So not too fast. I think when things go wrong is often when we're rushing. So set some time aside to paint your nails. Okay, so we are going to go all around that edge, and I'm going to stop and have a look at that nail. And if I see I've gone as close as I possibly can without touching the skin, and I've got a neat cuticle area, that makes the rest of my application so much easier. So again, using a very slow controlled movement, I am going to brush my product down the nail. So we're going to go down the center all the way to the free edge and lightly move the product to the one side, making sure I get nicely as close as I can to the side wall. And we turn my finger. And we're going to do the same to the other side. Nice controlled movements. So sort of like slow brush stroke down the nail. One thing that I want you to avoid is try and avoid doing like the multiple brush stroke, like doing this all the time. Because when we do that, sometimes we get a lot of air trapped into the application, and then you're left with all these little bubbles that sit on the nail, and sometimes when you're curing, they come up to the surface and they pop, and then you're left with an uneven surface. So the slower and more controlled the brush movement, the smoother the application is going to be. So now I'm happy that I've got my application all around the edges, all around the side walls. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to cure this for 60 seconds in my mascara curing lamp. All right. Okay, so we're curing. Come on, little photo initiators. Hello, it is Shams from the future. Guys, I need to tell you some important information about your lamps. So, make sure you're using a mascara lamp because we want you to be safe, and safe curing means using the manufacturer's approved lamp. So yes guys, it's not a joke. We really want you to be safe, and you know that you're getting optimum cure when you use your mascara lamp. One other thing we want you to remember is hand placement is important, and how you place your hand in the lamp makes a big difference when it comes to curing. So when you place your hand, you want to make sure that your fingers are slightly spaced apart and your thumb is kind of facing upright so that it's getting the direct UV light inside the light box. If you're going to hold your fingers together too tightly, and if you're going to position your thumb so that it's tucked in under your hand, if I can put it that way, you're going to have problems where the spaces on the side and the corners closest in between your fingers, they may not cure because the light's going to struggle to reach those areas. So for best cure, always remember, fingers slightly apart, thumb facing upright, and always follow the manufacturer's curing times. Don't shorten the time for curing, guys. 60 seconds stays 60 seconds. Right guys, so now we're going to start with our color, and we are going to be using Heartthrob. So here we go. Same thing, you want to be like picking up the brush and cleaning off majority of the color on the one side of your brush. And we're only doing this so that we don't have a bulk of product on the bristle. This just makes things way more controlled, because sometimes if you have too much gel on the brush, then that's when things get out of control and it starts flooding. So remember, don't be stressed about the first coat if it looks a little bit uneven. All of these things are going to fix themselves as you add the layers. So don't stress about the first layer too much. It's really like, I'm going to call it a mapping out layer. It's just going to give you that perfect foundation layer for you to build onto. So now we've got our brush with our color loaded, and I just want to take a moment for the mascara brush, because this really cool rounded paddle shaped brush does make life easier for painting. So we're going to start again in the center, and you'll see I'm starting a little bit away from the cuticle, so there's a little space. I've just made that first dot to show you, so I've got some space there, and I'm going to work by working slowly by bouncing the brush up towards the cuticle. You want to get as close to the cuticle without touching the skin. And we're going to go as close as we can. So I've now created my first mark. And from this mark, we're going to map out the surface. So we're going to go next to it and closer to the side wall with small movements. We're going to map out that cuticle area. And I'm going to come down just a little bit just to cover that corner. And I can already see that this is going to look great. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to kind of get you in the habit of not having to go back and clean up the mess. You know, when we used to paint with nail polish back in the days, and you could just go back and wipe it with acetone. Sometimes when you do that, you don't get the cleanest cuticle finish. So this way, with a bit of practice, you're going to have really clean cuticles and a well manicured gel polish on your finger. So like I did to the one side, I'm going to do to the other side. So I'm just going to turn my finger over and I'm going to go into that corner. Slow movements, slow controlled movements, just to get my gel exactly where I want it to be around that cuticle area. Now, the makings of an amazing formula is that with our heme-free colors, they have loaded pigment in them, so you get beautiful color payoff. And you know what I love about mascara gel polishes? They don't flood the cuticles. If you apply them correctly, like I'm showing you now, as you can see, this polish hasn't moved, so it's really user-friendly. Now that I've got my cuticle area perfectly mapped out, I'm going to paint down and cover the surface area of my nail plate. So using my brush, again, like a nice controlled movement down the free edge. And often this is the point where we get things wrong, because I think our natural tendency is to want to get this perfectly even sort of coverage on that nail plate. Now remember, this is just coat number 1. And if we think about painting a wall, sometimes your first coat doesn't give you the even finish and you've got to go back and add layers. So the same principle kind of with gel polish. Don't be too stressed out about that first layer. The main objective is to get the coverage and get an even layer as best as possible on that first layer. And you will see as we add our coats, the polish will even out itself and you won't be left with any sort of light spots, or should I say, you know, the unevenness that you will see with the dark color. You won't have that as you add the layers. So I'm going to work my color down over my whole nail, and because of the amount that I've applied onto the nail, it's just making it so much easier for me to control. So I don't have to worry about anything dripping down or even touching the skin. As you will note now that I haven't really touched the skin at all, and that's all because I'm really just taking my time with this application. Right, so once I'm happy with my first layer, I'm going to cure this for 60 seconds. Right, everybody, so we are going to do coat number 2. Now, you can apply 3 coats if you have to. This is all dependent on your desire for coverage. What I find with the heme-free gels, because of the pigment consistency that they do have, 2 coats is more than enough. So 2 coats works perfectly, even with the darkest one, which is black. Right, so here we go. So I'm going to be doing the same thing, picking up some gel on my brush, cleaning off the one side, and with a second coat you can have a little bit more polish loaded onto your brush, because what will happen now is this coat is going to grip onto the first layer that we've painted. So again, we are going to apply closer to that cuticle area, bounce up. Now remember, I call the first coat our mapping layer. This is why I will call it the mapping layer. It actually just now is easier to do the second coat because you've got that guide to follow. So just follow where your first application was, and you will usually find that the second coat goes a little bit faster than the first one. And we are going to paint our color down onto the nail. And even brush strokes is what you want to have going. And if you need to, like I can feel I can use a little bit more paint, you can pick up a little bit more and add it to your nail as you're painting. So the nice thing here is it's not like nail polish which is drying while you're working with it. It's only going to cure once you put it into your lamp. And guys, just so that you know, I am applying this onto my nail, which is an acrylic nail, and the same would apply for natural nails. Remember, you have to prep your nail to create your surface to work on. So if you do have a natural nail that has ridges, prep your nail accordingly and you'll have the perfect surface to work on. Now with my second coat, I'm going to take my brush and I'm just lightly going to run it around the edges, and this is just to seal the edge of my manicure. So as you can see, second coat went much faster, and I can now cure this for 60 seconds as well. Now it's time to finish, and we're going to apply our Hema-free top coat, which is a super shiny hard finish top coat. So let's go. Right, so with top coat, guys, here's a few rules that I want you to follow. Again, be careful of the amount you pick up, because with top coat, if you pick up too much, it's going to run into the cuticles and it's a nightmare to clean up. So you want to pick up an amount that is, this is the difficult part, that is not too much and not too little. So we've got to find that sweet spot, so the in-between amount. So I'm going to clean off my brush and have top coat on the one side and nothing on the other side. And here you want to use a nice controlled movement as well. So what I'm doing here is just getting the nail surface covered so that I've got a nice smooth application. Don't apply your top coat too thin. When you apply too thin, there could be issues when you cure it, because applying it too thin can cause top coats to actually almost shrink on the nail. So top coats don't really like an application that's way too thin. They kind of like almost a floaty. There needs to be a certain amount of product on the nail for you to get that nice glossy finish. So don't be tempted to go too thin with the top coat. So I'm just giving the free edge, I'm going to say the nail plate halfway of my nail plate. I'm making sure that I'm giving that a good coat of top coat. So now I'm going to work on that cuticle area. So I'm kind of working in reverse now, whereas where I started at the cuticle with the base and the color, I'm now doing the rest of the nail, or I'm going to say halfway of the nail bed with top coat, and now moving to the cuticle area. So I'm going to go into that cuticle spot, and I did this because I really just wanted to avoid any flooding from taking place. So it's kind of like I'm not giving it a chance to settle there for too long. And once I have that cuticle area covered, again, just a nice controlled brush stroke to bring it all together. I'm going to paint that down. And another little tip I can give you is, once you have your top coat on the nails, count to 10, and this makes it settle nicely. So sometimes we place it in the lamp too fast and then it catches all the brush strokes. So just give it a little bit of like a 10-second timer, just to self-level, and then into our lamp we go for our final 60-second cure. Okay. Right, and there you have it, everybody. A perfectly manicured nail, made easy with just those few simple painting steps. So give me a minute and let me just paint the rest of my nails. Ta-da! I am that fast. And there we have it, guys, and you can finish off with some cuticle oil. So I'm just going to put a drop of oil onto each nail, and you're going to massage that in, and you have a beautiful manicure done with the compliments of mascara. And that's as easy as it is, guys. So after your manicure, remember, just apply a drop of cuticle oil to each finger, massage that in because it replaces all the moisture that gets lost during the treatment. And you want to make sure that your customers are doing that home care, because it does help make your manicures last that much longer. Love it. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope it helps with all your painting tips and tricks. And be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Now go and paint your nails safely like I showed you.